Are you building a home or a prison? Written March 19th, 2019, Tangier, Morocco. I've been thinking a lot about the concept of home, maybe because I've been traveling the past couple of weeks. And although I was with my sister Aoife in Seoul and with friends in London, I did spend a rather substantial time being on my own while I'm in transit. I actually cherish that alone time because it allows me to recalibrate and find my quote-unquote center before I allow myself to intertwine with the people I love and care for again. It's like how a gymnast or a performer taking a deep inhale before he or she goes out to perform and share his or her art with the world. Or a mother taking a second to steady her breath before she attends to her crying baby. It's that precious few moments before you open yourself up to the world, That's how I feel about my long transits in airports when I fly alone before reuniting with my loved ones. I cherish those sacred moments so much that I create a safe bubble within myself. I read my book, I write, I eat on my own, I pray, and it feels like I'm home. And I'm proud of the home I've slowly built within myself. But it wasn't always like this. I used to disregard and neglect the safe space that I have been given by him, and I'll rather quote-unquote rent and live off in other people's spaces instead. I depended on other people to give me happiness. I turned to someone else to give me validation. And before I knew it, I started to live in other people's hearts more than I lived in mine. What then happened was I started to impose building a home in their hearts, forgetting that the most prime real estate for me to build my very own beautiful home was in mine. Inevitably, my heart home started to feel hollow and crumble, simply because I abandoned and paid no attention to it. I realized that sometimes we forget that we are holding on to the very key that unlocks our very own quote-unquote forever home, which is our hearts. Maybe because we're too busy distracting ourselves with other people's homes that we fail to check back and visit our very own space. Or maybe we haven't quite learned how to just visit other people's worlds without feeling the need or the obligation to set up our very own homes in them. Most importantly, why are we so uncomfortable being on our own that we start to believe that being in solitude is as torturous as being in prison, when it should actually remind us that we are home? Those are the questions I asked myself over and over again. It was not after Allah pulled everyone away from me that it forces me to be on my own. That was when I learned what a huge blessing it is to have a heart home that was always waiting for me to come back. It was just me who closed the doors on myself when I kept choosing to find happiness through other people instead of learning how to find joy within my own. Alhamdulillah, I now go back to my quote-unquote home several times each day. I try to check in and clean off the dust in my quote-unquote home regularly by being on my own and speaking to him about anything and everything. I will also choose to stay a tiny bit longer whenever I feel overwhelmed or emotionally drained. Sometimes when I'm in my quote-unquote home and in the zone, I can be quite oblivious to what's going on around me too. It's like being in your favorite room doing your own thing and you don't quite bother about what's going on with the rest of the world. And that was what exactly happened to me during the flight back to Tangier this time around. Karim's friend, NB, was in the same flight as me, and although he saw me, he didn't want to say hi because according to Karim, he said that Aida was in her own world reading her book. I just didn't want to disturb her. And I appreciate that gesture very much because he was right. I was in my own world, in my home, and just for that moment, I didn't quite want visitors. Just like how sometimes we might not want to be disturbed, some of our closest and loved ones might be retreating into their very own homes too and want their privacy. It's imperative then for us to take the time to check if we have quote-unquote visitation rights during that period. And if they prefer to have their alone time, please do not make them feel guilty for not being quite ready to receive you. Give them time to be in their own homes, to have a little rest, so that whenever they are ready, they can welcome you into their homes with open arms. I think writing this Tuesday love letters for me is another way for me to come home, and I cherish it so very much. What about you? How do you get home? Whatever or however it is, I pray may we all find our way home. I also pray that we all try to remember that even if we are a little lost, we're not that very far off. We just gotta learn how to make the journey inwards and see the difference that our heart is a home and not a prison. Sending you all my love and prayers from my little heart home. A. If you enjoyed this letter and would like to read more, please feel free to subscribe at aidaazlin.com. I send out a new love letter every Tuesday, and it'll be an honor to have you as part of the family. Take care. Bye.